What up? It is at St. Lauren 57, sober, celibate, and saved. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Whoever identifies as a mother, I don't see why there should be rules to that. You know what I mean? I think the title gets shared, and it should be shared because many of us play many different roles, whether we were able to push out a baby or what have it, anybody who participates in nurturing and loving a child. Anyways, so it has been, I have two children. I have not been able to spend a Mother's Day with them in a couple years. And, today, the one thing I can say about today is there's been signs everywhere, that signs of encouragement and what have you, support, hope, all day today. So, last night I had, one of the staff members had told me, like, oh, you're on the schedule tomorrow to do breakfast, la la la. And I was like, I have church tomorrow, like, I don't get, like, not, you know what I'm saying, like, it's my responsibility to check ahead, have to take accountability, and obviously, like, it's like any job, calling out means you're gonna leave someone behind or put the weight on someone else, and, having supervisor experience, management experience, I know, right, and so, I was like, and then obviously not wanting, like, any sort of disciplinary action against me for not doing a shift. This morning I got up, I did my chore, took a nap, and I got up and I was getting ready to head out the door to shower and just do the dang thing and prepared to listen to my sermon on YouTube Live, right? And as I'm walking out the door, one of the staff members goes, Lauren. And I love this person. She was the first staff member I had interaction with when I got to St. John's, and she's actually was a client herself. Her picture's on the wall in the hallway and her story and everything. And so she goes, Lauren, and I go, oh, what? And she goes, it's like one of those things where you're getting called in the office and it's like, oh, God. And of course, I'm just like, I did my chore all week. And she was like, that's not what I want to talk to you about. She's like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to get ready to get into the kitchen. And she's like, no, you're not. I was like, what? And so, I do got to be mindful of my energy. And put, like, even the staff that has the hard job having to monitor our chores, give us the X's, give us write-ups, right? Things like this. Like, I just like to be under the radar. I like to be under the radar. I don't like to have too many conversations. Like, I don't need to kiss ass either. But I most definitely like to stay under the radar. You know what I'm saying? I just like to, smooth sailing. But, I really got to be mindful because there's so many people that, like, look out for me and support me. And they're just doing their damn job. And they just want the best of me. Like, I know, I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm one of the favorites here. And, but these people are my favorites too. The last year of my life I would not have been able to, besides obviously with God, but before I really had built that, and I really could say I'm a Christian out loud and proud, and before I could really, go through things, and really be like, yeah, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, for sure. And, he's my dude. And before I could say all that, like, I had a lot of support from these staff here in my recovery, in my life. And this season of my life I would not be able to find as much joy in it. And I probably would have a heavier heart every day if I didn't have these people. Anyways, long story short, somehow they figured it out. She every Sunday when I go to church, she's like, pray for me. And I'm like, for sure. I'm like, what you need, whatever. And she knows I go. And so that was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm stoked because, like, it's Mother's Day. And I don't know what the chances are of my kids calling me. And so, you know, but I need God. I need God in this season of my life. Like, I need his direction. I need to be in worship. I need to be next to my people who support me. I need to be next to my brothers and my sisters in Christ. And I had a leadership meeting for Celebrate Recovery today as well. I need to be there. I need to show up. You know what I mean? Like, these things are super important to me. Like, I did have like kind of a revelation today a little bit that sometimes I can be selfish because I do have me on the mind a lot, just kind of like what I'm going through and like how much energy I can put other places. And maybe other people wouldn't say that. I might be being a little harsh, but there are times where I am putting like myself first, and maybe that's just because I'm in the environment where I'm learning to create boundaries, and I'm really learning to reserve my energy, and I'm really learning to I'm being particular where I'm putting myself. And I gotta prioritize myself first. Spent many years not doing that, not the way that looks like, because before I was just prioritizing like who knows what, in and out of addiction, and being like drowning from like responsibility as a working woman, and providing as a mother, and trying to having myself in so many different places almost at the same time it can be a lot. And so like I need to be in these places, like these, you know what I mean? And so anyways, today's sermon talked about hope, and it was a great sermon. I felt like it just went by too fast. But hope was a new hope was the message of the sermon. And actually, I should probably pull my notes, right? Because let me just refresh myself. My little small group notebook here, small group and sermon notebook. So we were in Genesis 3:14-15. And you know what? The one thing too I took from this sermon is, once again, grace and mercy showed up. And how God created the serpent. And even though the serpent chose to not submit to God, God did not destroy the serpent. And Adam and Eve did not die. Yes, there were repercussions. You know what I'm saying? And for Adam and Eve, it obviously was that, paradise would be no longer. Paradise and happiness was gone after Adam and Eve's, the fruit in the garden, the tree, whatever, right? The forbidden fruit. But also, what ties into that is that Jesus being sacrificed on the cross, and instead of like the serpent, how do I say this? Basically, the serpent didn't win because Jesus willingly, he's being punctured. And here this is right here. So I know it's going to sound all over the place, but this is good stuff right here, okay? So as time goes on, humans will choose sides. God versus serpent. And anonymity promises the showdown. Anonymity basically means something that's stronger than hatred. Let's see. And so basically the showdown is that act of crucifixion of Jesus, right? Because that's really the test of good and evil right there. And so a lot of this just, it talks about how like Genesis really like foretold a lot of things that were to come, right? Because it talked about bruising the head and the heel. The prophecy of the serpent and the seed of the woman to come, which is obviously Jesus. Anyways, my point is, Jesus being on the cross brought new hope. So instead of like, evil being like, oh, look, he's up there, I win, yada, yada. Evil wanted Jesus to just come down, wanted him to give up. But the fact that Jesus stayed on the cross, he died for our sins, and was able to show people that God is real. He was able to come out of that tomb. My point is like that was hope. That was showing evil up. So evil essentially did not prevail, if that makes any sense. And essentially when I said like I will fail and I will prevail, because it's like a balance. Like the world has both good and evil, right? And the one thought that I had to myself was like, I think that we have a distorted definition for death. And people who are way more versed in the Bible and all of these, growing up in church and all that stuff, will probably, who knows. But I had this pretty cool, like, epiphany. Like, I think we have a distorted definition of death. Right? Because on earth, when things are no longer living, we call that death, right? But we don't die. The body that we're in ages out, but we live on forever because of God, because of Jesus. Like, life is infinite. And I just think when things wilt and change and are no longer, I think we feel like that's death. But there's lots of things in this world, because it's a broken world, that cause death, like cancer and sickness and genetics and what do you call that, freak accidents, whatever, right? But I just think that means the body expires. What I feel like is like, what really feels like death on this earth is living with resentment and anger and bitterness and depression and being uncomfortable and just anxious and down, like living in fear by the things that are produced here on earth. That, I think, is what kills us. And obviously, like cancer, of course, carcinogens of this world, because in paradise there is no sickness. You know what I mean? There is no death. And I just think that our bodies time out at some point here on earth, whether it's of natural causes. I mean, at the same time, if you look back how long people lived, you know what I mean, in the Bible back then, and I can't quote any of that. I just, I hear it and I'm trying to learn as I'm trying to go through the Bible and I'm going to church. But I had that epiphany today. I was like, I mean, really what feels like death is living, like being amongst the living and not feeling joy. That is what I think is really what death is. Because our bodies might expire. We might succumb to this world and end up with a disease or cancer or, you know what I'm saying? But at any point our bodies are going to expire. But when we move beyond here, I mean, when you're on your deathbed and you don't have joy, like if you can't like be at peace, and that's also what I think, leaving this earth but also living with God is like, it's like having joy and peace at the same time. That's my epiphany. That's what I thought about after all the things that Pastor Todd said. That was like my big aha, is it's true, because there's like such a long period in life where I was so angry or depressed and distracted by all this sadness and the trauma and feeling unworthy and chasing love. And oh man, the list goes on. The list goes on, trust me. And I mean, there are some little pieces of life, little sporadic moments where I felt true and utter joy. And I feel like that's why sometimes it's easier to remember the good than the bad. Just kind of like, yeah, I know that, labor hurt, but having a child was way more magnificent. It was way more impactful than the pain of what the body goes through at birth, if that makes sense. So that resonated with me today. And then going to the leadership meeting, I'm going to be giving a testimony in June. So I'm really excited about that. I'm just really stoked. And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful to have a relationship with God, because on a day like today where everybody's celebrating mothers and kids are with their mothers and, all these other, hallmark things that go on in this day, right? But then also there are people who have lost their mothers. And so this is a hard day for them. It's a mixture. I mean, it can't all be great, right? Because death is a part of life. And, I'm just so grateful to God that I have things in my life that make me feel joy and also give me hope. Like, for example, I've been seeing the angel number 333 the last couple of days, right? And so today I happened again. I took myself out to lunch. So after church, I took myself to lunch, and then, after church, after my CR meeting, I took myself to lunch, and I was sitting there eating, and I, wanted to make sure, because I also went to an NA meeting, right? So I was kind of managing my time, and I look at the phone, because the meeting starts at 4, and it said 333, and I was like, I have been seeing this number everywhere. So I looked it up, and basically it's like divine energy. God, what else was it? The sign signifying positivity and growth. And then I looked up, always has little things, right? And I looked up, and I was like, what is 333 telling me? That basically, like, I'm in a phase of balance and growth, and it's a sign of encouragement. It's an empowering sign. It's an empowering angel number. And just that, and then being in the NA meeting and the chair that was given today. And there are times when I'm having a really hard time. It's very difficult to express, because I wholeheartedly trust in God. I wholeheartedly know I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes I don't know if I'm putting enough energy. I don't know how much of fight I need in me. I don't know how much to advocate. I don't know how passive to be. I also compare, like, what is being the bigger person, like, and I have to balance being the bigger person versus making sure that I speak up, and so I have those thoughts in my head, and sometimes I just ask God, like, God, can you just, like, just keep guiding me and tell me if I'm doing this right, because as much of a voice I have, it's sometimes it's so easy for me to stand up for other people, but it's very difficult for me to really stand up for myself, because as the years have gone on and I've matured and the aggression inside me has really, like, settled and dissipated, I don't feel the need to put my energy into some things. I don't feel the need to feed a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are times where you have to advocate, and there are times where you have to speak up. And so I realize that I have to really have that balance, because there are some rooms that you will be in life, and if you don't speak, not everything, because there is strength in silence. There is, you know what I'm saying? There is a presence when people learn to mind their words, and when you just watch them, that's powerful. But there are some rooms where if you do not advocate and you do not speak, those actions will go unseen. And there are times where, no, we don't need to be patted on the back, and everyone doesn't need to, I don't need a golden star for everything good I'm doing. But there are times where people need to know what you are doing. You do have to advocate. You do have to show up and show people what exactly it is that you're about and what exactly you're doing. Like, there are some time and place, you know what I mean? And so those are really kind of the things that I'm trying to make sure I do correctly, just because I don't feel, I mean, I just can't. These days, I cannot feed the fight. You know what I mean? Like, I can't entertain what is unnecessary. I cannot reciprocate a message that I do not identify with. You know what I'm saying? And so, while we were in the meeting today, you know, the group I went to is Have Mercy, and the topic was Have Mercy. And you know, and it's Mother's Day, and it's just, all these things are coming together, you know. I'm in a lot of good places with a lot of good people who are just trying to recover, and who are just trying to spread the love, spread the word, and you know what I'm saying? Fight for our life. Fight for our life and our right to be equal amongst others who, you know, don't share the same experiences. But what I do love is the hope that I get from everybody's chair, everybody's story, everybody being in service. And you know, and the one thing is, I have learned to have mercy on myself and grace. And the biggest relationship that I'm developing and working on and mending is the relationship with myself. Because I didn't treat myself right for a very long time. And at times, the world might think it's selfish. But it's not like I'm not here. It's not like I'm unavailable. You know what I mean? So I know I'm doing the right thing. And I'm being an example. I am leading by example. I am taking suggestions and I am putting them into action. I am doing all the right things. So it was a really good meeting. But also yesterday was great. Yesterday, having those women come from Real Life Church in Natomas, and we had a testimony with someone who read a poem. One of the alumni wrote a poem, and it was just really beautiful for those women to come and show up for us. And just, I mean, you cannot judge a book by its cover. It's miraculous where all these people are in life, master's degrees. You know, one of the women said she just had her first kid at 43, like going from a 10-year DV relationship to, you know, being married, and just all like these relationships in Christ, and these relationships in the NA program, and these relationships in recovery. And it all just gives me hope. Gives me hope that the things I would love to achieve and the things I would love to experience in life, and the legacy I would like to leave behind, and the goals that I want to be able to reach are attainable. It's all attainable as long as I put God in the middle. Like, one of the ladies was talking about how she spent 13 years by herself. And, that doesn't really scare me, you know? I'm going to be honest. I would love to be able to have another child. I would love to be able to, do all of the things. I would love to have a blended family. I would love to be able to obviously get myself in better health, and that's the main focus. But a girl can dream, can't she? But I would love to have another baby. I love babies. I love kids. Oh man, and I get so much love here at St. John's, you know, and I get so much love. And oh my gosh, there's just this adorable little girl. And every time I go to church, she runs up, she oh God. She reminds me of my daughter. And I absolutely love seeing her. She's so adorable. I love being able to chit-chat with her, you know, and her mom. And she's just the cutest thing. All these little babies around right now. I love babies. Who doesn't love a baby? And so anyways, you know, it just gives me hope. It just gives me hope, and, you know, maybe it will happen and maybe it won't, but it just also, like, just hearing this woman talk about being by herself for 13 years, you know, you know, and man, you know, you know, this is exactly why I'm celibate, and the biggest relationship I'm mending is the one with myself, because I can only mend the other ones that are important to me by being, you know, by me being whole. And I also was really grateful today at church that one of the women, she gave me some flowers. Her little son came up to me and brought me these flowers, you know, while we were standing there about to start worship. And I believe her wife is in my small group, but either way, it just, you know, and the one thing that Pastor Sandy was on, you know, if you don't feel whole or there's something missing, or, and I believe that, you know, our worship leader, TJ, spoke on that today too. And I mean, it is hard to feel whole on a Mother's Day without your kids. It is hard to feel whole, but at the same time, I don't feel empty. And I mean, that's what evil wants me to feel. Evil wants me to feel bad. It wants me to bash myself. It wants me to feel like a shitty mother. It makes me want to feel like a shitty person. It makes me want to hate the world. It makes me want to blame other people, or it makes me want to resent and be angry towards other people for not feeling whole. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not. Like, I can only worry about myself and what I can do. And like I said yesterday, my kids may not have this perspective now. And our relationship is not the same as it was, and our circumstances are not the same either. But my children, there will be a day where they will be able to see and hear and know exactly where I was in this season of their life. They will get to know exactly why. They will get to know exactly how. And it will be able to show them, like, it just, they will have the answers. Because I tell you what, no matter what anybody thinks, as kids, we want to please our parents. We want to love our parents. We want our parents to love us. And okay, I'll tell this quick story. When I was 11 or 12, I think I had already had one of my hip surgeries. And I remember, like, a parent telling me that another parent wasn't there when I was born, but they were there when my other siblings were born. And even though I couldn't stand this parent. I feared this parent. Didn't have a good relationship with this parent. I remember feeling like, this is why I get treated different. Like, this is why, plus amongst all the other circumstances around how I was conceived and, all the other circumstances that were revolved around my life when I was born, and so it always made me feel different, and that always resonated with me. Like, this is why you get treated different. Like, this is why these parents are angry, is because of the way that I came into this world and how maybe it kept them together, or maybe, part of it is why they fell apart, or maybe like they didn't even want to get together, but they felt like they had to. Who knows? But as a kid, everything is your fault. Everything revolves around you, in the sense of everything that's going wrong must be your fault. And the answers that you don't have, and if something looks different, you start putting the blame. I mean, who knows? You start having all types of feelings, is my point. And rightfully so. Because that's just the age. That's just the time. That's how children's minds work. Because when we're young, when we're born, our parents are our everything. And as life continues, and when we don't feel like we're getting nurtured or loved or paid attention to, or when things aren't consistent, or where the relationship with our parents change, or we feel like we're not significant, or we feel like we're not like enough. We start having all these resentments with our parents, and we start internalizing all of these things, right? Because it has to be our fault as a child. And so, that might be what, especially, who knows, that might be some things that resonate with my children when they look back as they get older, when they look back and they think about, from their perspective, what was missing and why and how it made them feel. Those might be the thoughts that run through their head. And then they're going to get older, and then they're going to get older. They're going to go through life. They're going to see things, and they're going to ask things, and they're going to wonder, like, but then also they're going to go through life experiences, and they're going to be parallel to the life experiences that they saw, with their parents. And they're going to be like, oh my God, this is what that meant. Or, oh my God, like, I am going through, this looked like what I saw when I was growing up, and now I'm going through it. And so now I understand where that parent was. Now I understand what that parent was doing. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, if it weren't for God today, it would be really difficult. And I'm sure if I was really at a bottom, and if I really wasn't if I really just didn't have my mental together, and if I really, really felt like losing, if I really, really felt like giving up, and if I really, really wasn't going to allow for anybody to help me, and if I really was just going to give up, there are plenty of things I could go out there and do and just disappear and never come back. But by the grace of God and where I'm at, the fellowships I have, I don't feel empty today. I still feel hopeful. I still know that I'm going in the right direction. I still know, I have faith, and I believe in myself today, and other people believe in me, And I know that I am doing as best I can with what I got. And nobody can tell me otherwise. Because I keep getting that sign. God keeps telling me. God keeps showing up. And other people keep showing up for me too. And let me know, like, you are doing something. Like, God is working in you. Keep going. And, there's lots of people who love on me today. For the things that I am missing. And so for that, I am forever grateful. And so to any other parents struggling, young adults, just life is hard. Life is hard, but don't give up. Don't give up. And if you feel like you need help, you know what I'm saying? Allow people to help you. And if you feel like you can't trust anybody, there are programs out here for this. There are other people who, you're not alone. None of us are alone. And reach out. I do have this platform also so that people can reach out. And if you want to, you know how. You know what I mean? There are a million ways to get in contact with somebody these days if you want to. It's not a mystery and it's not impossible. But I hope that encourages somebody today, because I know that it encourages me. Just do not let the world condemn you, because God's not condemning you. God will not condemn you. God will not forsake you. God will not leave you. And I know that feels uncomfortable if you really are in a place where you don't believe in God. Whatever it is you want to be your higher power, whatever it is that empowers you, just know that will not give up on you. And that will not leave you, because you are in a world of billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of people. You are not the only one, and you are not alone. You might feel like it, but there are places you can go and people you can reach out to, and fellowships and communities you can build that will be there for you. And it's crazy because sometimes we feel like, oh, well, people really need to know me, or shoot. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just need to know. We just can recognize another person for being a human, for trying to make it through this thing called life, and they will be there for you. So don't give up. Do not condemn yourself. Keep trying. Okay? Give yourself some grace. Have mercy on yourself. And just know that there's hope. Time is so heavy, and death seems heavy. The end of seasons seem heavy. People, losses seem heavy. But that's the thing about, feeling like you're drowning, or feeling like you're surrounded by dying seasons, is every time something dies, something else is rebirthed. So you have to look at what is growing. You have to look at what is to come. You have got to see past the darkness, even just a little bit. And I promise, the moment that you start looking at the light instead of looking at the dark, you will overcome so many things, because it's your mentality. It is your mentality. I swear to God it is. Because that is what keeps me above the water. That is exactly what keeps me above the water, is my mentality. Because my mentality is my reality. The more that we conceal, we will not heal. Okay? So just remember that. Your mentality is your reality. If you are going to think that everything is horrible and it's never going to work, and if you're just going to give up on yourself, then that is all that is going to subconsciously and consciously be going through your head all day long. And that is what you're going to attract. Okay? I promise. Just affirmations, being around positive people, finding a higher power. You know what I'm saying? Get in tune with God. Like, open that door. Just try it. You know what I'm saying? And just don't give up. Because you can get yourself through this. You can choose you. It's okay. Because everybody else chooses themselves every day. So you got to choose you. Okay? At St. Lauren 57, be safe and be kind, and happy Mother's Day.